For many psychics, and many the studies I've done over the years, it was an inbuilt assumption. The intuitive part of the brain is always correct. It's always telling you the truth. And actually, we need to, they would say, well, we need to move out of the left brain, out of the rational brain, into the intuitive brain. So from my perspective, that's a huge mistake, because just because you feel something to be true does not necessarily mean that it is true. Even if it really, really does feel like it's true, it's only part of the picture. We need to go back with the left brain, with the rational, detail-orientated left brain, and check our facts and do some research. I've seen so many mistakes with the healers that I've trained over many years in this assumption. If I intuitively feel it to be so, it must be so. And I don't need to do any fact-checking, I don't need to do any history-taking with a client, I don't need to run it by another healer to see if there's any option. So this is the first thing I want to point out, that psychic development has to take the brain development as a whole integral piece, that we need both the right and the left brain, both the intuitive and the fact-checking parts of the brain, to operate in unison, to operate in... It's like you have to operate as a dual processor rather than a single processor. And choosing one processor over the other doesn't give you all the information, doesn't give you all the facts. It doesn't give you the truth, if you like, whatever the truth is, but it just gives you one perspective, feeling-based versus rational-based. Psychic humans, or psychic development, I believe, has to overcome this hemispheric dominance of right over left or left over right, and work to integrate both of our brain hemispheres into a functional unit. Now, this process tends to occur naturally as the brain ages, and as those of you who are over 40 have probably noticed, the older we get, the dominance of the left brain begins to slip somewhat, and memories are lost, memories are misplaced, physical coordination suffers, and a certain hard-won sense of I is shaken up, and personal identity comes into question, because that personal identity has been heavily invested in the sense of I, in the sense of this left brain, rational, language-based I. By the way, that the left brain, the detail, rational brain, needs to focus and actually believe itself to be an I in order to do its work. Just as the right brain, the more feeling-based, the symbolic-based, is very comfortable with merging and trying on different aspects of reality, because that's how it functions. It functions as a synthesizer of experience. It is naturally built into the fabric of the universe. It does not feel itself to be separate from the universe. The overused phrase, I am one with the universe, I am one with and connected to the universe or the world, that's the experience of the right brain. That's its natural environment, its natural functioning. As we get older, it's actually a good thing in many ways, because it does shake up these assumptions we have of personal identity. It shakes up this entrainment of the brain to be more focused in the left, unless of course you're an artist and you're very happily there in the right. Let's quickly go into some of these brain functions very, very fast. I do want to lead you through a brain integration meditation, and then hopefully you'll be able to practice this meditation a couple of times before the next class, because the next class we're going to move right into your permanent personality, the higher self work. Now, in the past 20 years, there's been a lot of resources offered for right-left brain integration. Those of you who perhaps have tried the HemiSync technology, the Robert Monroe audio material. Again, that's a great way to explore this further if you're interested, to basically use binaural sound beats to entrain the brain to naturally move into a place of balance, a new place of balance through sound entrainment. And I'm certainly no expert in the HemiSync. I have friends and colleagues who have gone to the Monroe Institute and actually got a lot out of it. It's a whole area of developing yourself that I think is worth exploring, but I don't have a great knowledge of the Monroe material. So let's quickly go into the brain hemispheres, and then we will do our experience. So briefly, your left brain controls the right side of your body, thinks in a linear fashion. It's methodical, literal, analytic. It loves to follow sequences. It loves to put everything into a pattern, into a sequence. And also the left brain is all about the past. It's all about memory. It's also fascinated by the future. So in terms of conjecture about the future, in terms of finding trends, forecasting trends in the future. And also it contains a certain level of anxiety about the future because it can see the patterns, and once it has a certain ability to foretell patterns, that obviously triggers our anxiety because we know what can go wrong. One of the most important things about the left brain hemisphere is that it contains the speech center. In the left parietal lobe is an area called Broca's motor speech area, and it's the center for not only external speech to others, it's also the place in which your internal dialogue, your inner voice, is activated. And this area is undisputed because of all the research that's been done with brain-damaged patients. When they get damage in Broca's motor speech area, it deprives them of their ability to speak. The left brain also sifts through the collage of information around you, the stream of energy information, factual information, sensory information, sight, sound, taste. It sifts through it all, and it organizes it. That's its whole function. It organizes it and distills it down, and then in order to understand it, it associates what it sees to everything that it's learned in the past. So the incredible processing power to take this vast input of the universe and literally crunch all those numbers, crunch that data, and then put out this printout of what it says is important. This is important, and we're going to ignore the rest. Now, your right brain hemisphere, which controls the left side of your body, is all about the present moment. It's about right here and right now. The right brain thinks in pictures, thinks in images, and those images have attached feelings. They're not just images in terms of the left brain perspective, which is rational. The right brain images have feelings attached, and when we get into subsequent psychic development work, this will be very important, because if we create thought forms, or if we interact with other people's thought forms, those thought forms consist of both a belief, a mental belief, a mental construct, but they also, inherent in their construction, they have a feeling. They have a feeling-based reality. And Aeschylus called this psychonoetic, or thought-feeling combined. And I believe he was talking about this right brain reality of image plus feeling. Now, the right brain also learns kinesthetically. In other words, it learns by doing something, by moving the body. And your right brain is already a healer in that it knows it's an energy being connected to everything around it. It knows that its nature is to synthesize all these sensory data streams and ride them, dance with them. The right brain might not necessarily want to understand the way the left brain does. The right brain wants to experience. It wants to live life. It wants to dive in to the world and suck all the juice out of it. So unless we have the right brain somehow integrated into our energy system, life will be dry, that life will be meaningless. Without the right brain experience infusing who we are in our temporary personality, our life will just be facts and figures. It will just be following a pattern, following a plan, and usually that plan was designed by someone else. So that's a brief overview, and obviously you can buy one of 100 books on left brain, right brain issues, and research it on the internet. So what I want to do is to take you into this experiential exercise to begin to bring awareness to your left brain functioning and right brain functioning. And by being able to direct the energy and become aware of the different qualities of the energy, it's going to be very useful for further psychic development. So get yourself comfortable for the practice. Close your eyes. And just make a shift inside yourself. There are many people on the line who are experienced meditators, so whatever you do to shift your focus from connecting to the outer world and connecting to your deep inner feeling world. And as you continue to connect deeply into yourself, also feel your feet on the earth, or feel your connection to the earth if you're sitting. And ground down, feel that deep connection into the earth beneath you. You're setting your base, you're setting your grounding connection with the planet before we begin the practice. And the third thing to do, I'm going to multitask here, the third thing to do is also to bring a part of your awareness to your energetic boundary, to be aware that around you, about a meter away from your body, or 3 feet for non-metric people, that 3 feet away from your body is an energetic skin, an energetic boundary, that within that boundary is your personal energy field, your physical body. Outside of that boundary, you begin to interact with other beings, other life forces. So you're going to include in this beginning part of the meditation your connection to your energetic boundary. And now, just bring your awareness to your breathing. You want to slow your breathing down. Now, if you're an experienced meditator, you can bypass this and just do whatever you need to do. Otherwise, we need to bring a slowing down of the brain waves by slowing the breathing down. So 2 breaths in, or a count of 2 to breathe in, and the count of 4 to breathe out. So normal breathing in, but on your exhale, you're just extending the exhale. You're just beginning to move into a relaxed place, shifting from normal everyday consciousness into a focused state of awareness. And I'll just give you 1 minute just to do your breathing, and then we'll move into the second part of the exercise. And you're going to know that you're ready for the next part of the exercise because you'll feel a significant shift in your sense of self. You'll feel time start to slow down or become unimportant. The air around you will get a little stiller, become more still. Maybe your feeling body, your sensory experience will shift. The important thing I'm trying to point out is that you don't do this exercise from a normal everyday state of consciousness. There has to be a shift into an inner place, a new place. So now take the 2 middle fingers of each hand, so your index and middle finger, of each hand. And you're going to take those middle fingers and place them on each temple. Just lightly rest the pads of each of your middle fingers on each temple. And just adjust your touch so it's nice and comfortable. You don't need to be pressing, you just need contact. You're going to be using your fingers to help guide the energy in the exercise. So leaving your fingers on your temples, bring your awareness into your forehead, the chakra known as the third eye, or ajna, or I call it Agnya, the Sanskrit word for Agnya, the third eye chakra. And it's actually not in the center of the forehead, it's actually a little bit down, it's closer to the eyebrows on most people than it is in the upper center of the forehead. But wherever you sense it to be is fine. Using your imagination, using your focused attention, begin to shift your breathing, the slow breathing. So instead of breathing into your nose or into your mouth, you're actually breathing in and out of Agnya chakra, breathing in and out of your third eye. So to your rational brain, this won't make any sense, but to your intuitive, feeling brain, it makes perfect sense. You can breathe in and out of any part of your body just by directing your attention. So breathing into your forehead, breathing into Agnya chakra, and breathing out. And if you're doing this on the recording, if you're doing this after the class, you might want to take 5 minutes to do this, or even longer, to give yourself time to charge up this upper chakra with some energy, with some prana, using the slow, measured breathing in and out of Agnya, in and out of the third eye. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel a little bit of pressure, some tingling. A variation on this is to do it at night and have a candle in front of you at eye height and breathe it in and out while looking at the candle. That'll add an extra hit of light energy to your charging exercise. But for now we're just going to use the breath. And then just pause, take a short break, short rest. We're going to alternate. I'm going to ask you to alternate between energizing your left brain and energizing your right brain. So here's how we're going to do it. To energize your left brain, I'm going to have you bring your attention to your fingers, pressing against the left side of your cranium, your left temple. And I'm going to ask you to count to 5. And you're going to hear the word, the numbers 1 to 5 in your mind, as well as speaking them out loud. So that the phone is muted, so I won't hear you. Just count out loud, and including hearing the words in your mind. This is the most important, because it's activating the speech center. Count 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just pause. I'm going to do one more. This time, turn your eyes, the eyes and your eyelids, facing up and to the left side of your forehead. So your eyes behind your eyelids, eyelids are closed. Turn your eyes up and to the left. And once again, begin the count of 1 to 5, speaking out loud, while hearing the words in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then pause and relax. Now switch your attention to the right brain. So your attention now goes over to the right, your fingers pressing against your right temple. We're going to do the counting in a different way. We're going to do it in a right brain way. No internal dialogue. No hearing the words in your head the way you did a few seconds ago. This time we're going to see and feel the numbers counting up to 5. So instead of hearing the number 1, you will see in your mind, your inner mind, your mind's eye, a picture of the number 1. And depending on how creative you're feeling, you can make it a certain color, you can put the number 1 in a certain setting. Let's say you see the number 1 in a field, or lying on the beach getting a suntan, or up on a mountain hiking. So you can be playful and creative with this, which is the right brain's joy. And begin to see and feel the numbers 1 to 5 in your own time. And pause. Last part of the exercise before we complete. Shift your eye direction. You're shifting your eyes up and to the right behind your closed eyelids. And again repeat, seeing and feeling the numbers 1 to 5, but this time with your eyes focused up and to the right. And begin whenever you're ready. Good. And pause and relax. So you've just energized your brain, your psychic connection to your brain, in 2 different ways. Left brain and right brain. And what I'm going to recommend or suggest is that you do this practice again in your own way. You can embellish it, you can expand it or make it shorter if you like, whatever works for you. So you can begin to actually consciously shift from right brain focus into left brain and then back again. And this is going to be very important when we get into the 2 later classes, where we'll be doing both connection to your higher chakras, to pull in the wisdom and the experience of your higher self, your permanent personality. But also when we do some healing work in terms of healing any shock or trauma to the upper chakras, especially Agnya, especially the third eye, because if there's shock or trauma to Agnya, or there's an unconscious hemispheric dominance, right over left or left over right, it will throw your psychic development out of kilter. It will skew your ability to develop into the very sophisticated psychic that you were designed to be, that you're capable of being. And everyone in this call has done a lot of work on themselves. My hope is that these classes will help take you to the next level of your development and focus in on some areas that will help you take that next developmental leap, but also heal the past, will let go of anything that was holding you back from moving to the full psychic experience of who you are. So we are done for today's class. Next class, creating and energizing the etheric double, working with the soul's permanent personality. And we're doing another experiential also. Thanks everyone, I'll talk to you next week.